Hello everyone and welcome to English Flow. I'm Tom and I'm here with my co-host Sarah. How are you doing today, Sarah?
I'm doing great, Tom. Thanks for asking. I'm really excited about today's topic because I think it's going to help so many of our listeners.
Absolutely. So today we're diving into something that I think confuses a lot of English learners. We're talking about natural communication skills and how to actually sound like a native speaker, even if your English knowledge isn't 100% perfect yet.
That's right. And I want to make something clear right from the start. This isn't about memorizing more words or learning complex grammar structures. It's really about developing certain behaviors and patterns that native speakers use without even thinking about it.
Exactly. So many learners tell us they've been studying for years, they know tons of vocabulary, they understand grammar rules, but when they try to have a real conversation, something feels off. They don't sound smooth or comfortable.
Yes, and that's because real conversational fluency isn't really built on knowledge alone. It's built on comfortable usage. It's about feeling relaxed when you speak and developing automatic responses to common situations.
So today we're going to share practical behaviors that you can start implementing right away. We're talking about real conversational techniques that will make your English sound more natural and flowing. Sarah, where should we start?
Let's talk about how you initiate speaking. This is super important. The first thing I want to mention is that you should just start talking, even when you haven't completely formed your sentence in your head yet.
That's such a good point. Native speakers don't wait until they have the perfect sentence ready. They just begin and they figure it out as they go. They might change direction halfway through, and that's completely normal.
Right, and to help with this, you can use what we call launch phrases. These are simple ways to begin your sentence that give you time to organize your thoughts. Things like, well, you know, or the thing is.
Oh, those are great examples. I also like using phrases like from my perspective or personally. These give you a running start, so you're not just standing at the starting line trying to figure out where to go.
Exactly. Now here's another crucial behavior. Don't speed up your speech trying to sound more fluent. Actually, speaking at a moderate pace sounds way more confident and controlled.
This is so true. When people get nervous, they tend to rush, but that actually makes them harder to understand and makes them sound less confident. Taking your time is a sign of confidence, not weakness.
And connected to that, you need to be comfortable with silence. If you need a moment to think, just take it. Don't fill the space with sorry or apologies. Native speakers pause all the time while they're thinking.
Yes, saying sorry constantly actually draws more attention to your pauses and makes you sound less fluent. Just pause naturally, gather your thoughts, and continue. Nobody minds a thoughtful pause.
Another behavior that really helps is deliberately using the same expressions over and over. I know learners sometimes worry about sounding repetitive, but native speakers actually reuse their favorite phrases constantly.
Oh, absolutely. Everyone has their go-to expressions. Mine are things like "that makes sense" or "I see what you mean." I probably say those 20 times a day. It's not boring, it's just natural speech patterns.
Exactly. And using familiar phrases makes you sound more comfortable because you are more comfortable. You're not searching for words, you're just speaking naturally.
Okay, so let's talk about responding in conversations. This is where a lot of learners struggle because they're thinking about grammar and vocabulary when they should be thinking about natural interaction.
Right, so here's a key behavior. When someone tells you something, respond with a reaction word first before you form a complete sentence. Things like, oh, wow, seriously, or no way.
This is huge. If someone says they just got a promotion, a native speaker doesn't immediately form a grammatically perfect sentence. They say, wow, that's amazing, or oh, congratulations. The reaction comes first.
And here's something that might surprise learners. Keep your answers relatively brief. Don't over-explain everything. Short responses are actually more natural in most conversations.
Yes, think about how you talk in your native language. If someone asks, did you enjoy the movie? You might just say, yeah, it was good, or not really, it was boring. You don't need to give a full analysis every time.
Exactly. Conversations flow back and forth. If you give long answers to every question, it stops feeling like a conversation and starts feeling like a presentation.
Here's another really useful technique. Repeat back keywords that the other person just used. So if someone says the traffic was horrible, you might respond, yeah, horrible, I know what you mean.
This is such a common pattern in English conversation. It shows you're listening and engaged, and it gives you a moment to formulate your next thought. Plus, it just sounds really natural.
Now let's talk about something we call softening language. Native English speakers, especially Americans, rarely make direct statements. We add words that make things sound less absolute.
Right, so instead of saying that's wrong, we might say I think that might not be quite right, or that's a bit off. We use phrases like sort of, maybe, or possibly to soften our statements.
This makes your English sound more polite and considerate. It's a cultural thing too. Direct statements can sometimes sound rude in English, even when you don't mean them that way.
And don't forget to use vocal agreement sounds. These are little words or sounds you make while someone else is talking to show you're following along. Things like uh-huh, yeah, right, or mhm.
Oh yes, these are so important. In English conversations, we don't just sit silently while the other person talks. We make these little acknowledgement sounds to show we're engaged and listening.
Definitely. Now let's talk about your mindset while speaking. This is where a lot of the real magic happens. The way you think while you're talking really affects how you sound.
Absolutely. First and most importantly, stop translating in your head. When you hear a question or want to express something, think about the concept or idea, not the individual words from your native language.
This is challenging at first, but it's so important. When you translate word by word, your English often sounds unnatural because different languages structure things differently. You need to think directly in English concepts.
And here's a mindset shift that's really freeing. Allow yourself to make errors, just let them happen. Don't stop mid-sentence to correct yourself, don't apologize, just keep moving forward.
This is critical. Native speakers make mistakes all the time. We use the wrong word, we mix up grammar, we lose our train of thought. But we don't stop and dwell on it. We just continue talking.
Exactly. Fluency is much more about how smoothly you recover from errors than about never making errors in the first place. The flow of conversation is more important than technical perfection.
Here's another important mindset point. Don't try to sound sophisticated or show off. Your goal should be to sound comfortable and clear, not to impress people with fancy language.
Yes, when learners try to use really advanced vocabulary or complex sentences, it often backfires. It sounds forced and unnatural. Simple, clear communication is actually what native speakers do most of the time.
Absolutely. In everyday conversation, we use pretty basic language. We save the complex stuff for formal writing or professional presentations. Daily conversation is surprisingly simple.
And embrace using the same expressions repeatedly. We talked about this before, but it's worth emphasizing. Having a core set of phrases you use all the time is not a weakness, it's exactly what native speakers do.
Right, everyone has their linguistic comfort zone. The phrases and expressions that just feel natural to them. You should develop your own personal collection of go-to expressions.
And trust that basic language is enough. You don't need fancy words to express complex ideas. Native speakers communicate sophisticated thoughts using simple words all the time.
Now let's talk about daily practices that can help you develop these behaviors. These are things you can do on your own to build these natural patterns.
The most important practice is to speak out loud every single day, even if it's just for a minute or two. This is physical training for your mouth and brain. You're building muscle memory.
Yes, and it doesn't matter what you talk about. You could describe your morning routine, talk about what you see around you, or even talk to yourself about your plans for the day. The key is producing English sounds regularly.
Consistency is more important than duration. Speaking for 2 minutes every day is better than speaking for an hour once a week. You're training your brain to access English automatically.
Another great practice is to deliberately recycle the same useful phrases. Create a mental list of expressions that work in many situations and practice using them until they become automatic.
For example, expressions like "that's interesting," "I hadn't thought about it that way," or "fair enough." These work in tons of different conversations. Once they're automatic, you'll use them without thinking.
Here's something that many learners overlook. When you listen to English, pay attention to the intonation and rhythm, not just the words. The melody of English is just as important as the vocabulary.
This is so true. The same sentence can have completely different meanings depending on how you say it. Really can be a question, an expression of surprise, or a sign of skepticism, all based on your tone.
So when you're watching shows or listening to podcasts, pay attention to how people's voices go up and down, where they put stress, and how they use rhythm to convey meaning.
Now here's a big mindset shift that can really free you up. Accept that you're going to sound imperfect, and that's completely okay. Perfection is not the goal, communication is the goal.
Nobody expects you to speak like a native speaker if English isn't your first language. And honestly, most native speakers don't care about small grammar errors or mispronunciations. They care about whether they can understand you.
Right? And being too afraid of mistakes actually makes you sound less fluent because you're hesitating and self-censoring. Accepting imperfection paradoxically makes you sound better.
And here's the most important thing we want to leave you with today. Focus on connection, not correctness. Your goal in any conversation is to connect with the other person, to communicate ideas and feelings.
This is the heart of fluency. You can know a limited amount of English and still be an effective communicator if you're focused on the relationship and the exchange of ideas. Conversely, you can know advanced English but sound awkward if you're too focused on rules.
When you prioritize connection, you naturally use more body language, more emotional expression, more engagement. And that makes you easier to understand and more pleasant to talk to.
So let's recap some of the key behaviors we've discussed today. Start speaking before your sentence is fully formed. Use launch phrases to get going. Speak at a moderate pace without rushing.
Don't apologize for pauses. Use your favorite expressions repeatedly without shame. Respond with reaction words first. Keep your answers appropriately brief. Repeat back keywords from what others say.
Soften your statements with words like maybe and sort of. Use vocal agreement sounds while listening. Think in concepts rather than translating. Let errors happen without dwelling on them.
Don't try to sound impressive. Embrace repetition of familiar phrases. Trust that simple language is sufficient. Practice speaking out loud daily. Pay attention to tone and rhythm when listening.
Accept sounding imperfect. And most importantly, prioritize connection over correctness. These behaviors are what make someone sound fluent regardless of their technical level.
The beautiful thing about these behaviors is that you can start using them immediately. You don't need to learn new vocabulary or study new grammar. You just need to change how you approach speaking.
Start small, maybe pick 2 or 3 behaviors from our list and focus on those for the next week. Once they feel comfortable, add a couple more. Building these patterns takes time.
And be patient with yourself. These are habits, and habits take time to develop. You wouldn't expect to build physical strength after one workout, and this is the same. Consistency over time is what creates change.
The good news is that every single conversation you have is an opportunity to practice these behaviors. Every time you speak English, you can implement one or more of these patterns.
And remember, native speakers aren't judging you. Most people are just happy to communicate and connect. They're not keeping score of your grammar mistakes or analyzing your accent.
Exactly. The pressure you feel is usually coming from inside yourself, not from the person you're talking to. When you let go of that self-imposed pressure, speaking becomes so much easier.
So if there's one takeaway from today's episode, it's this. Fluency is not about knowing more. It's about using what you know more comfortably. It's about developing natural behaviors, not memorizing more rules.
Your English can feel easy and natural. You just need to shift your focus from studying to practicing, from correctness to connection, from impressing to expressing.
We really hope this episode has given you some practical behaviors you can start using right away. We'd love to hear from you about which behaviors you find most helpful or most challenging.
Absolutely, feel free to reach out and share your experiences with us. We love hearing from our listeners and learning what's working for you in your English journey.
And remember, every expert was once a beginner. Every fluent speaker went through the awkward stage of making mistakes and feeling uncertain. You're exactly where you need to be right now.
Keep practicing, stay consistent, and be kind to yourself. Your English will continue to improve as long as you keep using it and developing these natural communication behaviors.
Thank you so much for joining us today on English Flow. We'll be back next time with more practical tips and strategies to help you on your English learning journey.
Until then, keep speaking, keep practicing, and most importantly, keep connecting with others. That's what language is really all about. Take care, everyone.